What's up, fuckers? Oh, I'm losing lots of money. I'm losing lots of money on this position. Gonna have to let that fly. I wanted to break down my discretionary style of trading and system. Probably lack thereof. I've been trading futures since March, so it's been about 90 days. My soul has been enveloped by the gut-wrenching feeling of what it's like to do this. I'm 2 hours behind the market. So around 6 and early morning, like 7 to 9, that's usually when I put my trades in. Lately, the market's been moving like a smooth 100 points a day. So that's some real lucrative shit to get on. And I usually only play the NASDAQ. So MNQ, when I'm unsure, when I really am not too confident, and then NQ when I'm ballsy. Discretionary trading is what I'm after, unfortunately, which is probably fucking hilarious to some of you, I am sure. However, I have been trading for about 4 years, and it's been definitely a learning experience. Technically still in the red, just with Robinhood by about 7,000 alone. I recently learned also that the success rate of prop firms and funded trader challenges when weighed against how much is spent versus getting the first payout is 0.25%. So like out of 1,000 peeps, only 2.5 men are making bank out here off of these specifically. You do have a better chance if you just use your own money. According to some separate traders, I think off top, Nick Sean's. So let's be honest. How many people that pick up the guitar come out the end in 6 months to 5 years sounding like the next fucking Jimi Hendrix? Or even close. Not that many. So I find it weird how people understand certain statistics, but at the same time use those small numbers in other situations to justify certain decisions or reactions. Almost like we as humans bend numbers to our will to fit what most makes sense with our reality. Well, one of my biggest goals in trading and life is to maximize and condense my failure in the quickest way possible to go against my reality, understand consequence, formulate a cohesive plan and dedicate myself to it, unshackled by result. Now the last part is a huge issue of mine. Simplicity is key. Dots. Keep it simple. Stupid yada yada yada. Absolutely, those things are important, but it's more important to remember, at least for my style of trading, is that each day is its own beast. 21-day SMA, crossing under the VWAP, and I'm only going long for 7 points, and at the ratio of 1 to 2, I don't do that. I don't use a specific formula almost ever. I'm sorry, but I don't trade like that for some reason. It stresses me out more than letting my form of intuition that's developed due to trusting myself in different situations just produce a consistent win rate that has bigger winners than its losers. It's definitely not for everyone, and I don't blame anybody for not wanting to do that because there's less of a direct relation between things that you can tell easily when using certain indicators. It gives you more of like a ping pong to bounce off of and less of just pushing around a hockey puck in space. Did that make any sense? I don't think it did. I don't think so. I'm probably blowing smoke out my ass, but I do believe that using an AI or a formula that can run while you were away is really cool, but the integral factor is missing. Discretion. Unless you got a fucking algorithm with over like a 65% win rate, whose winners are at least 50% bigger than its losers, that's lame. But if you do, that's awesome as fuck. That's really, really cool. I can't blame you if you figure that out and you don't want to press your head through a wall every day, especially during a losing streak, because technically it wouldn't even be your fault. It's the algorithm, it's the formula that you created. Sometimes those days when you blow accounts and lose $1,500 or whatever your drawdown is, those days are some big fucking learning days though, if you look at them under the right lens. I've blown 11 accounts totaling about $300 through the funded brokerages, various. This 12th one, I decided to stop playing against my own grain and accepting the fact that one of my weakest aspects is entering at the wrong time. It's not usually the wrong direction. I pick the right direction fucking 80% of the time. I enter sometimes so poorly or so anxiously, excitedly, stupidly, whatever you want to call it, impulsively, mainly. I enter very impulsively and I panic. And when it doesn't come my way, it goes too far out of what I assume to be true, even though I still feel it like in my gut. I take the loss. Lo and behold, 5 candles later, I would have been in the money. I didn't need to lose, but my entry is just so poorly timed. So I decided, stop adding to losing positions. Number one, right? That's a big one. I have a lot of number ones, especially when it's going in the wrong direction. Let it work out. And when you finally do feel that gut feeling, you double down. So when you're down, I don't know, negative 200 on a micro, so that would be 100 points, double down. So now you only need 50 points to get back into the money, which seems like a lot. But with the way the market's been moving, it's, I don't know. I'm watching it right now. It just went from 15,110 all the way up to 15,130. It's been 4 minutes. So, that's 30 points in 4 minutes. It's a lot. It's a big swing. You can do a lot. Come on, baby Ruth. Hit that fucking thing out the park. Don't get too nervous. And the reason why I do decide to double down still is because I want to follow the discretionary system. I don't want to get to the point where I don't trust myself ever anymore, and any decision I make is struck by paralysis and 3 extra voices that are making me figure out why I'm wrong before I even make the decision completely and flesh it out. Think about all the pros and cons. Sometimes it's okay to accept a loss. I've had that happen a lot, especially in the past few days specifically. Double down, negative 100. I hit negative 150. It's like I'm out, and I know you're not supposed to play the direct money, but I am still doing this trailing thing. So I want to make sure that I don't lose too much of any profit I made per day. At least I want to stay right at flat zero. The most I'll take is like negative 200 on a day now. I have had negative $1,000 days. I've had entire blown accounts. I've made like $1,000 in a day on one of these accounts and then completely threw it all in the trash like a fucking degenerate, chasing losses and being crazy unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you want to do. You're wasting more time doing that. The more time that you spend thinking you were right, the more time you're wasting. And the more time you believe that you were correct, that's time well spent. You need a level of efficiency. Otherwise, you are going to be burning out over vapor. If your mind and your feelings are working against each other, you should probably walk away. You can't be at war with yourself. And I mean that in an intrinsic sense. When you still view all of these extra opinions gravitating, floating around the facts, what you perceive to know of the market, and you accept that more than likely not half of what you're thinking at any given moment is just completely false, the better off you are. You can't always believe you're right. You can't always believe you're wrong. You have to accept the fact that there is going to be a line. You're going to fall off of that bitch. You're going to try to walk on it. And at one point, you might even be sprinting on it. And that's when you're making trade after trade. Everything's going your way. Holy shit, this is awesome. And some days you can barely even wake up to get on the rope. It's really interesting that way. If you don't feel like you should trade that day, if you didn't get enough sleep, if you have a stomach ache, a migraine, whatever, probably best to just leave it alone. And if you're a real addict, just do one micro on MNQ, not MES. Just take it fucking easy. You could have one trade in one day that makes you 4K. For me, that's a month goal worth of money. If I can make that kind of trade in one day, conceivably, according to my rules, I could just take the next 19 trading days off out of that month and just leave it, trade small things just to get onto the board, and leave it and take the 4K. That's not the best way to do it though. You're not going to be able to scale anything with that kind of mindset. So when you see yourself winning, you should try and take advantage of that. You really, really should. When you see yourself failing, cut yourself off. When you see yourself winning, run. Run as fast as you can like the wind. When you trip, it's okay. The run is over. You ran pretty fucking far though, I bet. I believe you should reduce fear as much as possible, to the point where seeing a trade turn against you only sours like 1/10 of your mood, as compared to the days you more than likely not cried after a huge loss in a shit trade. Because I have. Volatility is nothing to be played with. And during this heightened hyper buy market, shit swings wildly. News also is fucking like new every day, every hour, with things like Meta reversing and Russia recouping, and NASA apparently talking about internet outages and increased percentage of that occurring within the next decade. People perceive news in such an interesting way, and it's not about how we perceive it, it's about how the people who move the market perceive it. You know, the algorithms, the insane fucking like $50 million buys and swings at a time that are just not within the realm of a normal person. That's who we have to think about, not about what the normal person thinks. If what the normal person thought is what controlled the reality, then I think it would be all a lot more simple, a bit more archaic, inane, but simple, maybe a little bit happy. But it's not. You know, a majority of reality is controlled by the people with a large amount of money in institutions we can't dream of, that have fake locations with a no name. It is a game we're all playing. Some people are playing it 3-dimensionally. I'd say most of us retail traders are playing it 2-dimensionally. A lot of us, I'm sure, do want to build wealth, but the first focus is probably like clearing debt and maybe getting a functioning car. Everyone's different though. I'm very broke. I don't know how some people do this, but I am so broke. And for me, this is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I know I can get there, because I'll kill myself over it. I'll do whatever it takes every day. This has completely enveloped every aspect of my life for the past 3 months, because that's when I decided to start taking it seriously, like a career. As if I had a boss to report to at the end of every fiscal quarter, and they reamed me for super obvious stupid shit, because I'm young and I'm barely learning and I just started and I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. That's also the point of this channel. So I'm like a puppy and I want to be a dog, big wolf. I'm not there. I'm still having trouble accepting losses and making sure I stay away from trading when I think I should, because I probably should. I'd say discipline. You know, when you set a stop, leave it there. Don't fucking move it. Just leave it. And then the next biggest step aside of that would be realistic profits. You know, play for points. You're not playing for the profit. Something I still need to learn. Think about it every day. I still play for the money, but I'm thinking about how to play for the points. I most recently changed it, so on Trade-Evade, the left side shows how many ticks I'm up or down instead of the direct money. I like seeing the money. Blame me. The whole point of playing the points, though, is that you're not like, oh, I'm gonna take $100 easy. Because if you think about it, if you looked at the price action correctly, you could have made 200, maybe even 250. You were being realistic within your sense of reality, but not the markets. The markets has the the markets. It's like Ultron up in that bitch. Why don't they just turn it off? It probably turns itself back on. Money me. I want the money. Anything can happen at any moment. And who knows how anyone, given those intense swings, will react. So all you can do to help this really is a stop loss. A really hard stop loss. It's probably the biggest lesson that I could gift in this video, is just make sure when you have a stop loss, it's realistic and you don't move it.